Need to remind
Reporting in progress.
everyone of the City of Perry staff's core values: strong work ethic, problem solving, community oriented, shows professionalism and integrity, is a team player, is accountable, and is a good steward. And have a roll call, please.
Shelley,
Yes.
Mahler,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Schott,
Maybe.
Klein. Yes.
Okay, and then we need approval of the meeting agenda.
Motion to approve the meeting agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Shelley,
Yes.
Klein. Yes. Mahler,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Schott,
Absolutely.
Okay, next up is the consent agenda. It has the minutes of the June 2nd regular city council meeting. 11 payments for contract services to Bolton and Mink for $67,205.28. Claims registers and financials of $1,438,934.97. And licenses and permits. Alcohol permits were Quick Trip DBA Quick Star on First Street. Dolgen Corp. or Dollar General Store also on First Avenue. And the police and fire inspections haven't been completed and are on file at City Hall. They have added a third tobacco retail permit from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. Shop and Go LLC, DBA Blue Jay Market, and also DBA Smoke Time. And we added in El Ray Market LLC, DBA El Ray Market and Guns at 210 Willis Avenue. Yep.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Walling,
Yes.
Mahler,
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Schott,
Absolutely.
Klein. Yes.
Okay, city administrators reports then.
Right, well, we've got a lot of irons in the fire, as you can tell by the agenda, but one of the more fun things is that 2 weeks ago, ADR Axel's leadership was in town, just to have some more meetings in the metro, and then he came back to Perry to have some discussions, and we got to help them go on a tour of the Progressive Foundry as well as Hewitt Farms out at Jeff Hewitt's farm. So they really enjoyed getting to see the foundry up close and personal and getting to explore Jeff's farm. So it was great to have them in town, and that project is moving forward. They've got their design team hired, so we'll be starting to work with them on site plans for their project out at the industrial park. So it's kind of the big one not on the list for today's agenda. So any questions for me?
Okay, so mayor, council comments. I was gonna just say I stopped downtown on Saturday morning and saw a big crowd of bikes on Main and looked like Proletariat and the Tin Pig were both doing really well. So Jeremy, you wanna expand on that?
Business as usual for Bacoon. We had about 1,500 riders through, I believe is what Lindsay counted at Second and Willis. No incidents to report. Just kind of everything went smooth. Everybody had fun. Wasn't too hot, I guess, but I wasn't riding a bike either. So maybe.
You were standing by the
Yeah.
smoker though, huh?
So what could we, or the big picture, do to make it a little bit better?
The only thing that that we could do, which we actually were kind of the featured city this year and maybe going forward just because of the timing of the ride. Entertainment would probably be the biggest thing. Like I just hire a DJ because a lot of people are in and out, but we have all the bases covered. The chamber comes down and does a Burr sign up down there, which is really cool. You know, get some people signed up for Burr. You mean to highlight Perry a little bit more? Is that?
All I'm looking for is the big picture.
Entertainment would be the first thing that I would say to try and keep people around a little bit longer. But the big thing is to get people to stay is the weather, because it is a 70 whatever mile ride and people like to not get caught out in whatever, noon to 4 p.m. part of that.
And Lindsay was advertising the street party, so possibility of some people biking up for that on a Friday evening, so, or just coming up in their car, and hanging out, but, so, we'll see. Thanks.
Yeah, on deck.
Any other council comments? Okay, next is open forum. Speakers be asked to step up to the microphone and state their name and an address for the records, and they'd be given 3 minutes to address the council. Any open forum requests? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to old business. Item A is approval of GAX number 11 for CDBG contract number 23 HSGU 004 in the amount of $45,322. It's drawdown of the upper story housing conversion grant to the Nedgers Inc. for the building at 1306 Second Street. Have motion, please.
Motion to approve item A, approval of GAX number 11 for CDBG contract number 23 HSGU 004.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Shelley,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Mahler,
Yes.
Schott.
Yeah.
Klein. Yes.
Okay, item B is a resolution approving a temporary construction easement and permanent public utility easement. This is for the downtown improvement project phase 1. It is in the alleyway and in the parking lot next to Wells Fargo Bank. And so could I have a motion for this, and we'll have more discussion.
Motion we pass a resolution approving a temporary construction easement and permanent public utility easement.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion.
So this is another one of the easements for the downtown project for the Wells Fargo property. This is mostly the permanent easement is for a couple of storm intakes, which are in Wells Fargo's parking lot right off of the alleyway. So just being able to tie into those with new storm sewer and hook into the storm sewer through the alleyway.
Makes sense.
I'm gonna say this again on the record, that if we're doing a beautification project, that we need to do something about the utilities in those alleys, because they are atrocious.
I do not disagree.
I think they talked about taking down one pole.
There's a few others.
Yeah. In the discussion, I'll let Jacob help my memory too. That was part of the discussion early on in the design phase. Alliant offered the possibility of doing that at the city's expense. That would also require upgrading services on the buildings, which may also trigger upgrading equipment panels within the buildings as well. So those were some of the reasons, but city cost and then potential cost to property owners as well.
I don't know about all the buildings, but I know that I have at least 2 spans from the pole that don't go to anything anymore. That have been there for who knows how many years.
And that's kind of where we started the conversation with Alliant, is they mentioned we can't take the pole down because of these utilities, and we have good connections with the other utilities of let's plan on taking as much down and we'll deal with the next person. So
Which pole is coming down?
the furthest one to the south, right off the corner of Tin Pig, it actually has a light on it. Having the light on it, they did not want to take it down, but we informed them that we're putting the new lights in the parking lot and have no concern of inadequate lighting there. So he mentioned that once everything is finalized, they can work through getting that taken down.
So the Tin
One pole at
Pig,
a time.
so Tin Pig did the electrical box upgrade.
The upgrade was because of Tin Pig's draw of power, both for the upper story and the business. I think that was a work through with Alliant and the business owner to provide the adequate power. So.
Spend the bucks.
I think there's gotta be a workaround somewhere along the way. I don't know. I just wanted to remind everybody that I don't like it.
Noted.
Say again, Chuck.
Tell me why.
Because there's wires hanging from those poles all over in that alley back there. Just for a beautification project, that seems like a big miss. We don't get that cleaned up.
And there's a lot of parking and they're kind of a hazard for parking.
And they're going nowhere. You say that those wires are going nowhere.
I have at least two spans that do not connect to anything that has, I don't know how long they've been there. I don't know what they were connected to. I have two of them though that don't go to anything. So they could be.
So what have you asked us as the city to do?
My initial,
In which has not been taken care of.
my initial recommendation was, that we should have those utilities go underground in that alley while we're ripping up the alley and making it, a different situation. I thought that'd be a pretty good time to do that.
But Alliant won't do that
Right.
unless you upgrade.
So Alliant answered only to itself.
That seems to be the case.
Further discussion? Roll call?
Walling,
Yes.
Klein. Yes. Shelley,
Yes.
Mahler,
Yes.
Schott,
Okay, item C is a resolution approving a permanent easement for storm sewer right away. This is for Rawson Street that we vacated and deeded over to Van Kirk Storage LLC. And it's for a storm sewer right of way. And so could we have a motion, please?
I make a motion, we approve resolution approving a permanent easement for storm sewer right of way.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
This was all part of the purchase agreement and process with the foundry on that vacation and getting a easement back for our storm sewer that runs through there.
That.
Under Rawson, yep. Yep. Is it a 36 or 48? Okay.
Yeah, 36.
Final thing we have to do on that, I think, so.
Boom.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mahler,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Schott, Klein. Yes.
Okay, item D is approval of change order number 3 for Willis Avenue overlay. And this is a great one because it's a decrease of $53,102.87. And that will be the final balancing for the project. So can I have a motion, please?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
So this is the final paperwork or the start of the final paperwork. The next two items are very similarly related. But we did get through the audit process. The DOT had 4 items. One of them is some of the quantities weren't balancing out. And we just mentioned, once we get to the end of the project, we have city on all projects do that balance. But before we ran it, we want to make sure they cross-checked all the numbers, everything lined up, and then now we're processing that. So.
Further discussion? Roll call?
Walling,
Yes.
Mahler,
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Schott, Klein. Yes.
Okay, item A is resolution approving statement of completion and final acceptance for the Willis Avenue overlay project. And the final total amount will be $880,572.37. And the principal engineer recommends the acceptance of said work and issue the statement of completion. Motion, please.
I make a motion, we approve resolution approving statement of completion and final acceptance for the Willis Avenue overlay project.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
So this is just setting that final dollar amount, notifies that they met all the contract dates. There was one item of concern that was found after the completion that the contractor has come in. They have corrected that area and rides very well. So this basically kicks that process forward that they go into the final audit. This is all the paperwork to validate, prove the values, when it started, when it stopped, so.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Klein,
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Mahler,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Schott,
Okay, and item F is approval of the pay application number 6, final for Willis Avenue overlay. It's in the amount of $26,417.17 to Des Moines Asphalt and Paving. And all the documents have been received and signed by the project engineer who recommends approval. Motion, please.
Make a motion, we approve pay application number 6 for the final for the Willis Avenue overlay.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
So this is the end of the project for the payments, with the completion being past that 30-day period. Once we did that balance and change order, we could release retainage at the same time. So this is
This is the
balancing out the
retainage as
books.
well.
Yep.
That's what it looked like.
With the $83,000 deduction, it made this a lot smaller, huh? Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Walling,
Yes.
Mahler,
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Schott,
Yeah.
Klein,
Yes.
Okay, new business. Item A is a resolution setting a public hearing on proposed zoning amendments for agricultural district to heavy industrial district. This would be set for July 7th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the Clarion Room of the Security Bank Building located at 1102 Willis Avenue, Perry, Iowa. It will seek public comments. It's requested by Carl Steckenholtz. The real estate owned by the individual would be rezoned so that we can sell it to JBS and put their plant on there.
I make a motion, we approve resolution setting a public hearing on proposed zoning amendment agricultural district AG to heavy industrial district HI.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion?
So this is just setting a public hearing. So I don't know how in the weeds you want me to go, but on the 7th, we will kind of go more in detail. But yeah, so setting a public hearing for the 7th. This is to rezone about 89 acres from agricultural to heavy industrial. Why heavy industrial, you guys might ask. In our heavy industrial chapter, it specifically calls out a primary use of slaughter of animals. So JBS is proposing that about 50% of their operations is harvesting of sows, and then the other 50% will be packaging and processing of sausage to then ship out. Located kind of southeast corner of the city that you guys probably have seen the map, but there's a concept there in front of you. They are proposing about 150,000 square foot facility. You probably have heard, but about 250 employees to begin with. And then another 250 employees at a later date. We did have our planning and zoning meeting last Tuesday on the 10th. It did move forward with a 4-to-1 vote. It was a pretty full house. Had a number of individuals come up and express their concerns or ask questions, which I can expand on if you would like me to. But yeah, I kind of have told anybody that if they would like to come speak again or attend the 7th public hearing.
Expound.
Okay, I have my minutes. So there was 2 individuals from JBS that were there to kind of present the project and just expand on the company as a whole. So Cameron Brewitt was there, and then a couple individuals from Epstein, which is the engineer for the company that kind of explained this layout a little bit more in detail, which I can do to the best of my ability for you guys as well. But there were a number of neighboring individuals. So in the rezone process, we notify residents that are within a 200-foot radius. That's per our code. And about 3 of those individuals did attend. All of them were notified via mail, and either I talked to them on the phone or they signed off on the certified letter. So everyone that is in that 200-foot radius is aware of the project. So I did have a Lamar Kothi out of Urbandale. He owns a parcel just north of the site.
North of what?
North of this site, he owns a parcel just north of it. You might recognize his name. He is a developer in certain areas or other areas in Iowa. his concern was just about the odor with the rendering. Then I had a Kay Bullock, who she's not a 200-foot radius neighbor, but she does live just north of that site. Her concern was potential odor as well. Eddie Diaz and Jeff Hewitt with Perry Economic Development did present as well. They were in support of the project. Jeff had stated that PED had done their due diligence to reach out to the businesses in the industrial park that are under their covenants and expressed that majority that they talked to were in favor of the project and were supportive of it. And then I did have a Joyce Scott, who is another resident or another neighboring property owner. And her concerns were that her farm is a century farm. So she just has like an emotional tie to it. And that she also had concerns about the smell and just property value. So I do have my minutes. They are online, but I can certainly send them to you guys as well. And yeah, happy to answer any other questions.
How many properties with homes where people are living are adjacent to that 200?
So there's no homes right up abutting against it. It is all just ag land. Yeah, so and one individual that was here, which is a Kay Bullock, she's a little over half a mile away to the north. She was at the meeting and expressed her concerns.
They all stated that they were happy this town was going to get the project, but they were just
Yes.
concerned that they would be the recipient of the bad part of the project and everyone else gets the good part. So, but they were not against the project. They just want us to do everything we can to make sure that we obeyed orders, and we assured them that being in the city will allow us to do things more than what we could with Tyson's being out in the county. So,
Correct. So we do have a nuisance ordinance, and smell is in that ordinance as well. So we could certainly do like a municipal infraction if that ordinance wasn't followed, if there was like a smell complaint.
and PED did go visit, talk to a lot of people in Marshalltown via Zoom, and then went actually to Ottumwa, and they were happy that their odor control methods were better than what we had at the other facility in town. And, and again, JBS will say that most of the time it's gonna be fine, but they can't guarantee, if there's an upset or if somebody does something that they're not supposed to, then, you might get a smell, but it's gonna be few and far between, and that they are considerably less than what we had at the other plant. So,
Yeah, so it's a modern facility. It's not as dated as Tyson was. So the technology behind it is more advanced. So they have, they're called air scrubbers in the rendering facility. And I think it was JP that he has like history, JP Hogan, with like residential air scrubbers. So not commercial, but residential, and does say that they, from his experience, do really well at mitigating smell. So that was just a personal.
big improvements over the last 10 years, he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tonight's just setting the public hearing. So.
Okay. And I may be missing something here, and you can tell me. The plant, the physical facility that are out there for the former hospital. Who's gonna do something positive about it?
So we have been having ongoing conversations with Tyson as they still own it. They say they're still giving tours of the plant to prospective buyers here and there, so they're still actively trying to sell the plant to a new owner and a new occupier of that facility to operate out of. So, again, it's-
Believe that?
I can only believe as much as I'm told. But it's not without concern, sure.
Pardon?
It's not without concern.
No,
They've had a lengthy process in other communities that they have ended operations in, but we're definitely staying in close communication with them to let them know that we're still here. So.
It seems to me that nobody's really pushing to say, this is gonna happen, or this is what we want to have happen, or this what should happen about so many different things. That plant, and I don't have a year in my head, but we know that plant was built, what, 20, 25, 30 years ago,
65.
More than that.
65? Okay. And now it's fundamentally empty and not being utilized. And I don't see anybody, any business enterprises saying, oh my heavens, we might be able to do this out there. Or we might be able to support this out there. All I'm, and trust me, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I've been wrong a lot of times. I don't think anything is being fundamentally pushed to make that situation better.
It's like a vacant home.
Yeah,
Can you make the seller sell it? No.
and we are having pretty frequent communication with Tyson and the folks in charge of selling the plant. So I think it was 2 weeks ago, we were on a call about what's happening or not happening out there and what their plan is to move forward. So we're definitely keeping as much pressure on them as we can, but also sharing our time with moving forward with new development within city limits. So.
And some of our representatives have had some discussion with Tyson management to express their concern, dissatisfaction, so we're trying. It's not that nothing's happening, but it's kind of very limited is what we can do at this time.
I'm just gonna say that I urge that whatever's happening, whatever little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, maybe, that we know about it as soon as we can. And we can support that or not support it, depending on what the situation is. But I suspect most of us would really want to support something good.
Molly, the air odor ordinance, is that a public record? Can we? And in the other cities, Ottumwa and Marshalltown, they had an 800 number when citizens smelled odors. Are we gonna have the same?
Yeah, that was mentioned at the P and Z meeting of potentially happening. I don't see why JBS couldn't, but I guess I haven't asked that directly on if that's like part of their operations or not. I'm assuming if they've done it at the Ottumwa and Marshalltown facilities that they would look at doing it in Perry as well.
And then the ordinance is public record. We could.
It's
Yep,
online.
I can pull that for you, Joe.
Thank
The discussion. Okay, roll call.
Klein. Yes. Walling,
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Mahler,
Yes.
Schott,
Okay, and item B is a resolution approving the application of JBS USA Food Company to the Iowa Economic Development Authority High Quality Jobs Program. They plan to build a new 150,000 square foot processing plant at a cost of $137 million. They expect to create 250 new full-time jobs, of which 57 will be HQJP qualifying labor shed wage of $210 per above $31.10 per hour. This resolution would approve the support of the application to IEDA by JBS Food Company and agree to the local match policy as required through Administrative Rule 261-175.515. And that would include a TIF rebate of $10 million. Resolution would authorize staff to proceed and with the proposal for the implement of the urban renewal area in the TIF district as would be necessary in order to carry out provisions within the resolution. So could I have a motion, please?
I make a motion, we pass a resolution approving the application of JBS USA Food Company to the Iowa Economic Development Authority High Quality Jobs Program.
I'll second that.
All right, and we do have Rachel Wacker from the Greater Dias County Development Alliance, as well as I think several folks from JBS online as well. But overall, this is very similar to the application we just did 2 months ago, I think. 2 months ago for ADR's state support and pledging our financial support as well. So looking at in the states incentivizing 57 of those jobs as the qualifying high quality jobs. So this will, if or once passed by city council, will get signed, sent back to the state, and it would be slated for this Friday's Iowa Economic Development Board Authority meeting. I think at 9 o'clock down in Des Moines, so.
And you'll be there.
I think I'm gonna go in person this time. I was on Zoom for ADR, but yeah. And Rachel will be there Friday as well, so.
Further discussion?
And just to note, with the local match of TIF, we've kicked off conversations with Dorsey and Whitney to start that development agreement process. So as we work through that, we'll be working with JBS to iron that out, and all of that process will be coming through city council as well. So there's future action around that development agreement.
Roll call.
Mahler,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Schott.
Yeah.
Klein,
Yes.
Okay, item C is a resolution approving the site plan for flex space buildings by M&R Properties LLC within the city of Perry. Has gone through planning and zoning and been approved, and would motion to approve.
Motion to approve item C, resolution approving the site plan for flex buildings by MNR Properties LLC within the city of Perry.
I'll second.
Discussion?
So this site is located out at the Perry Industrial Park, just to the west of the Casey's. Access is off of Nolan and Kearney Drive, and they are proposing to build 2 flex space buildings. So they're about 12,400 square feet for each. They are proposing about eight bays or suites in each. But what makes it like flex is that you can kind of build it out as you go. So basically the developer like builds a foundation and the shell, and then a company that's interested in renting it out could go in and be like, hey, I actually want 2 suites instead of 1. So they can kind of flex like where the walls are. That's what makes it flex. So it's a phased project. So the first phase will be the west building, and then once that is fully rented out, then they will build the east building. And there's just some proposed elevations. So they built a similar product out at the Nevada Industrial Park. So they're just looking at kind of copying that and doing it out here. They do about 80 parking spaces, and then stormwater management is actually going to go to the regional detention basin just west of the site. So they have worked with PED's engineer to make sure all those stormwater calculations are accounted for in that regional detention basin. Took this to P and Z on Tuesday, last Tuesday, and they did recommend approval. So happy to answer any questions.
That's a single bay, right? there.
Yep, that would be like a single, yep. So each, if they were to do the 8 bays, they're about a little over 1,500 square feet each.
Further discussion?
They're planning on building the west side first rather than the east side.
Yep, they'll do the west side, and then once that is fully rented out, they will do the east side. And from what I've heard, they've had some interested businesses already, so it probably won't take them long to get the west one rented out.
Roll call.
Shelley,
Yes.
Klein. Yes. Mahler,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes,
Schott,
Absolutely.
Okay, item D is resolution approving a professional services agreement with Bolton and Mank for the Willis Avenue and Highway 141 intersection study. This will be for the amount of 13,000 per their rate schedule. And this will be a head start for what we need to do for when JBS and ADR get ready to go and we want to do improvements to that intersection. So could I have motion, please?
motion we pass a resolution approving a professional services agreement with Bolton Mank for the Willis Avenue and Highway 141 intersection study, as long as we're not getting around about.
So
I'll second.
Discussion?
So they're gonna, the state is gonna build that 141 traffic light at that intersection, correct?
So this is kind of a precursor or part of the information and data we would need for our RISE grant application to the Iowa DOT. So they require a intersection study as part of the justification to make improvements to a intersection on a state highway. So we would need this study that they get to check off on to make sure that there's the current or future anticipated traffic volumes through that intersection to then help guide what that ultimate design would be. But this is a piece of what we'll need for that RISE application connected to the JBS facility and ADR's facility, and the increased traffic through there, in addition to just the existing traffic and occupants of the industrial park. So, yep, this is a good first step towards getting that RISE grant turned in. So.
And some of these costs will be recouped down the road as we get TIF monies in. Is that?
Yep, we'd be able to put this this would be the first piece or contract of all of our costs with that intersection paving infrastructure extensions, utility extensions of L Avenue, that whole project. We'd be able to utilize future TIF to help pay this portion back as part of the project as a whole.
Further discussions? Roll call?
Walling,
yes.
Mahler,
Yes.
Shelley,
Yes.
Schott,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Okay, and the final item is item E, resolution setting salaries for employees of the city of Perry, Iowa fiscal year 2026. This would be effective July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. And it was basically agreed with the union last year that we would give them a 5% again this year, and we're going to match that with all the other employees that aren't covered by bargaining agreement. So could I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve item E, resolution setting salaries for employees of the city of Perry, Iowa fiscal year 2026.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
So this is a every end of fiscal year activity for us. Susie likes to do it the second to last meeting in June, so she has plenty of time to get it in the system for July's payroll. I think just of note, there is a asterisk in one section for wastewater treatment employees. We are kind of looking at a little bit of a discrepancy or difference in wages between our full-time operator and part-time operator. So we just didn't have quite enough time before getting this resolution out to fully dig into that, but Josh, Susie and I are getting together tomorrow morning, so we'll maybe coming back with an additional recommendation or adjustment in that area. So more to come on that.
Further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Shelley,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Smaller,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Scott,
Okay, and I just want to remind everyone that we are going to have a special meeting June 30th at 9 a.m. to do the final year-end budget adjustments. And we may also have a work session in there if we worked out before that. We'll let you know before that happens. So, any other business comments, questions?
Time is that meeting?
9 a.m. here.
On the 30th.
Okay, with that, we'll adjourn. Thank you all.